How are you doing? My name is Justin Turman. Today I'm going to be talking about enhancing employee training programs and how that can affect you and the workplace. First off, I want to talk about my experience with training programs. I was in the Navy, um, and with training, it improves not only employee readiness or your personal growth, it also helps the business that you work for. So whenever I was in the Navy, we had a lot of training, whether that be first-hand training or online training, so like in person, online. And what really helped me was we had simulation training for high stress environments, things like that. It really prepares you for what's out there. And the best training I probably ever had was on drone defense. So this was before drone warfare was a thing or as popular it is as it is today. And when we went through the drone warfare course, it was the best training I probably ever had because the threat of small drones and things like that, that's not something we thought of um, back in 2018, 2019, things like that. It's not as popular as it is today, and how to deal with those situations and threats. And overall, those programs were expensive. Um, it took a long time to put a lot of people through these courses, but overall, it was amazing. So, moving on, we'll talk about why the lack of training matters. Well, there are many reasons, but the most important is that companies use out of date training programs most of the time. And with better training, that will lead to the increase of productivity. So, how productive the employees are, which overall impacts the company. So, with the increase of productivity, it really motivates and boosts morale. Statistic is 70% of people that would be willing to leave their current position for a better position or the same position if the company offered better training, because overall better training can lead to um, more retention for the company, so the company doesn't have to pay more money to replace employees who come and go, things like that. And next, that leads to pros and cons. So a few pros and cons is the productivity that we already talked about. It improves retention. We've talked about that. It improves readiness. So how ready are you for these situations, depending on what the training's for, um, as well as boosting the morale. So with all these things, it will lead to the employees gaining more benefits. So not only personal growth through the training, it can lead to, higher pay, raises, things like that. The cons of implementing these programs is the cost. That's the main con. The cost is extremely high. It's not easy to implement either. It takes a lot of time to put these employees through the training. And while they're going through that training, it's going to lead to a slightly downward, you know, trajectory in the productivity, because those people aren't going to be participating in their current job. They're going to go and get put through training, depending on if that's 6 week, 8 week, 2 week course. It will lead to a drop. And yeah, companies just have to pay people more money, which money's the biggest thing in a business. I understand that, but the high cost is the only downside to implementing these programs. So what can we do to, you know, push for better training programs? We can give suggestions, promote topics that need more attention, that need more, you know, training on those scenarios or topics. Give reasons on how it can be beneficial not only to the employees but as well as the company, and come up with ways to implement these changes. By doing this, we build more productive workforce and grow training or and growth from the training, leading to an overall positive for the employees and the company with those reasons I gave in the last slide. Next, these are some work sites. This is where I found some of the information. If you want to, dive deeper into this topic, you can go ahead and follow these links. Click on them. They're from 2024 and 2025, so most up to date. I hope you learned something from this, and I hope, we get out there and improve the workforce. Thank you.